Hey guys, Mistmaster1 here, and welcome back to more Kingdom Hearts Funimix HD Proud Level 1. Last time we finished up all the Gummy Blueprint side stuff that we need to get out of the way, and in this episode we finally returned to combat-based stuff. We're going to take on the remainder of the super bosses, and we're pretty much in the home stretch and finishing this game now. So, it's been a little while since we actually finished everything at the synthesis shop, so I figured I'd go over my equipment really fast. I've replaced my Royal Crown and my Shiva Belt with Cosmic Arts and Atlas Armament. They pretty much provide the same amount of stats, except with this setup, with the Cosmic Arts in particular, I can have myself a little more HP, which doesn't matter, but it also allows me to have a little more AP, which is going to be really key in a later boss fight, because I can have Strike Raid and Dodge Roll out at the same time. What else is new? No, don't go into our abilities, let's go to our equipment. Lord Fortune was Donald's Keyblade. We got ourselves the Fantasista Keyblade? No, Fantasista Staff from Synthesis, so let's put that on. And also, we got ourselves the 7-element shield for Goofy, but the hilarious thing is that the Mighty Shield is still better, so I'm just going to keep that on for the time being. And that's probably the remainder of the equipment I'm going to do, except for switching out my Keyblade for, of course, the God weapon that is Ultima Weapon, but it's actually not as good as Diamond Dust in that regard, because it has less MP than Diamond Dust does. But I will be using this weapon after we finish the super boss that goes on in this episode. I've been teasing you guys pretty bad about the whole using Ultima Weapon to finish off the game, but I promise, after this episode, you will not see this Keyblade ever again. There's just there's a couple things I want to get done in this episode along with the super boss I'll be taking on, and I want to start off by going to the item shop right here, and just for the sake of completion, I grinded up a bunch of money, and I'm actually going to buy every single staff and shield that this place has to offer, just one of everything. You know, you have the Morning Star, Shooting Star Magus staff. I'm not going to name them all because that's really tedious, but just know that after you buy all these, I forget the exact number, it's like around 23,000 money, but yeah. With all that done, we now have every weapon in the game for Donald and Goofy, with the exception of like one or two things. It's also worth noting that, of course, with all those new weapons, they're still pretty poor compared to the Fantasista, because the whole 3MP thing is great. I've also given, while I'm here, I should actually give, Donald my weapons, which is, or my previous accessories, which is the Royal Crown and the Shiva Belt. You wanna know something hilarious? Is that if you actually, you notice how his strength is 1 right there, but if you put something else on like this, it goes to B1. You can actually have less, you can have less than 1 strength. I don't know how that's, even remotely possible, but I mean, the more you know. You can actually literally have B1 or 0 flat or B1, just cool stuff. Now, with all that said and done, us outside of the staffs and the shields that we've picked up, from Synthesis and the ones we just purchased, I also got this little thing right here, Save the Queen, which was a weapon I said I wouldn't be sure if I would get because it requires to beat the Hades Cup solo, and just because I love you guys, I decided to do that off screen, and that's your reward for doing it, but it's not as good as the Fantasista because MP is king in this. Also, I got myself this nice little thing, the Wizard's Relic for Donald, and on top of that, I also got myself a Defender Shield for Goofy. Both of these are a 1 in 500 chance, the Defender being a 0.2% drop from defenders. When you defeat them once in a blue moon, they will leave a giant blue box behind, and it contains a defender. And the same thing goes for Donald, where you will have a once in a blue moon chance, 1 in 500 chance of getting a weapon drop from the wizards. But anyway, that is everything I've wanted to talk about. I've eaten up a fair bit of your time already before we even got to the super boss, but that's just a few things I wanted to get done before we really got to the meat of this video. The real meat of this video is we're going to be heading to Neverland to take on our next super boss of the game. And because a good friend of mine really wanted me to, if you look in my gummy ship really quick, we have the Cactuar gummy! Oh! I love the way it just shoots through the little warp phase there, like just the way its arms and legs are strewn about, it just looks really funny. We're gonna dock at the ship cabin. Now, the next thing you're going to see here with a couple of these super bosses is that they're sort of just laid out in the open. They're really inconspicuous. You just get like a little minor thing and you think to yourself, oh, what could this be? Now, you'll see Tinkerbell is here. I can't understand her. I'll bet Peter knows what she's saying, so what you have to do now is access your save point, and for the sake of what's going to be happening next, I'm going to be replacing Donald for Peter Pan. You must have Peter Pan in your party for this, because now if you go over to talk to Tinkerbell, what is it, Tink? You want to go to the clock tower? It's up to you, Sora. Let's not go quite yet. Don't be mad, Tink. Sora's got a lot to do. Yeah. They don't tell you this, but if you accept to go to the clock tower under Tinkerbell's wish, you will be thrown into your next little super boss that we're going to cover here. Now, in order to prep for this fight, I have 3 elixirs on Sora, which if you want to farm elixirs, you can either synth grind or defeat rare truffles, whatever you want. I've also grinded a lot of money, and I've put 6 ethers on Peter Pan and 4 ethers on Goofy. This next boss fight is very MP reliant, which you might be wondering why I'm not using Donald. That is purely because his magic is not really going to help me in this fight, and he only has 2 item slots, which means he can only have 2 ethers at a time. I don't want that. I want myself a total of 4 ethers on Goofy, 6 on Peter, 10 ethers in total across the party, and 3 elixirs on myself in case things get really messy. Also, make sure you have a total of 10 MP or 9 MP depending on what you've chosen, have the Diamond Dust Keyblade equipped, and then 2 other accessories of your choice that raise your MP by 2. And that's pretty much everything else you will want. I also have a shortcut menu right here of Firaga, Blizzaga, and Curaga there. And the last thing I'd like to mention is you should put your party members' AI to everything is set to occasionally or emergency, and have MP items set to immediately, and that goes for both Peter Pan and Goofy. Now that I have explained all of that, we are finally ready to take on our next super boss. So what does it think? You want to go to the clock tower? Sure, let's go. Okay, let's fly together. Ooh, yes, this is our next super boss, guys. This is Phantom. And he's going to start the fight off a little uniquely. Before you even get focused on that guy, he's going to whirl his hands around like this, and he's going to make the little clock tower here actually start moving on its own. And what you want to do is cast Stop on that to stop the thing from actually going. Now, before I get into the fight, just a quick little thing. Okay, there we go. I wanted to get him in the shot. You'll notice now that Peter has a 12 above his head. This boss has a very particular move that is unique to only itself, and that is the Doom spell. Doom, of course, in Final Fantasy would have it so after time runs out, the character automatically dies, and that is not any exception to this. However, the death that comes from this little meter running out, the little timer here, is not like any other like party member KO or whatever KO, because if that time runs out, it actually removes them from the fight, and you are only left with the next party member and yourself for the remainder of the fight. And depending on how you have done, or what you've prepped for this fight, it will go in order of Peter Pan, your other party member, and then you, and it'll take a total of 6 revolutions of the clock tower to actually kill the entire party off, so that's just one way you can die. So you're gonna have to occasionally cast Stop on that clock tower every so often, because it will restart. But anyway, next thing we're gonna do here is get into how he fights specifically the Phantom boss. He has 4 potential orbs that are in the shape of a heart that will appear in his little cloth there, and they can range from red, blue, yellow, and white, and for this instance, when you get a white heart, you have to physically attack him, or, you know, just get bopped for free. So you physically attack like this, and it's completely random whichever heart you will... Wow, that's really cool, actually. My head is, like, inside his... Actually, I'm not going to finish that sentence. But yeah. White hearts... Physical, just to lay this out there, white hearts, physical, red hearts, fire, blue hearts, blizzard, and yellow hearts, thunder. Every so often, once you attack him, he will charge at you like that. You can just simply avoid it by ducking down. Let's see what he does this time. He has a yellow heart, so what we're going to do is go to our Thundaga and use that. And he has a white heart again. And he has a red heart, so use fire, like so. And that's the general gist, I like that. That's the gist of this fight. Every so often, he'll also do this attack where he sort of formulates a little, like, pink specter that just comes out of his hands, and he'll launch it at you, and it's going to try to home at you. But a little thing you can do to cheese this is to just walk over, well, not really walk over, but fly over off screen so the thing hits the wall. I didn't want Goofy to attack, but that's fine. And by doing so, you can actually avoid that attack entirely, and what that does is that if the little specter actually comes over and hits you, it will drain your HP, and if you are hit by it, especially at level 1, you will die pretty much instantly because it's really rapid succession of hits, and you don't really get a lot of time to heal, so kind of do your best not to get hit by that or else you'll most certainly die. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that you need to know about this guy. Things to note that roughly every 3 revolutions of the clock, well, not 3 revolutions, 3 cycles of this guy in general, will cause the meter to start back up again. Okay, Peter Pan is back, so that's good. I'm starting to run a bit dry on MP, nothing super ridiculous. Now we're going to have him do his little attack here, that's going to send the Spectre out. I'm just going to lose that, and you'll notice now the clock is actually moving right there. I'm going to just freeze it really quick, but if you saw right there, the clock started moving again. So we need to use stop on this thing again. And by doing so, now the clock is... Oh, that was not good. By doing so, we have ourselves another set of turns and just like a huge time limit where the clock will be stopped again. Let's see if we can dodge this. Oh my god, my party members just ate it. I don't know how to really reliably have my party members dodge. I mean, it's more important that you dodge it, of course, but without your party members, you're not really going to have any way to heal your MP outside of your own elixirs, and I'd like to hold on to those as soon as possible. That's honestly all I have to say about this fight, because to be perfectly honest, it is a relatively boring fight, and by relatively, in the eyes of people, most people think this fight is absolutely garbage. Because you're basically just sitting here for about 8 minutes or so, kind of chipping away at this guy with either physical hits or your magic. Which, I have to say, I really love the concept for this fight, but of course, like most people's opinions, and I agree with, it's a really good concept, but just not executed as well as it could have been. It kind of just ends up in being this really grindy fight that doesn't really go anywhere, which is kind of a shame. But I mean, it's still fine. I don't really mind it too much. I'm just showing it off for the sake of showing it off, because of course, we need ourselves a complete Jiminy's Journal, which we're not going to get unless we defeat every single enemy in this game. Please don't die. Okay. I'm always paranoid. It's really great when I'm really angsty about my party members taking hits as opposed to me. Like, I'm not worried about dodging the attacks, but I want my party members alive so they can refill my MP when the time is right. Now, here's the thing. You may think, okay, that's such a really crucial waste of MP, because you have to keep using, well, not really a waste, but just like a whole use of MP that's really monotonous, because you have to stop the clock over and over again. Well, here's the thing. You only have to worry about stopping the clock for the sake of your party members, and it only comes down to once it's on its final revolution where it will actually go on to Sora, and you have to actually start worrying about that yourself. Because the way I view this fight is that your party members are only there to supply magic recovery, and once they run out of ethers, they may as well just bite the dust and pretty much get hit by whatever this guy has to throw at them, and in this case, it would be the, you know, the little doom spell he has going right there. But as you can see, my party members are doing... Oh, goodness, okay. My party members are doing a pretty reasonable job at refilling my MP, so I'm going to keep that clock, you know... I'm going to prevent that clock from hitting 12 again whenever I can, because every time the clock loops back around, back to 12, the timer, of course, runs out, and your party member that is affected by will pretty much be removed from the battle, so don't want to deal with that. Same thing as before, fire for red, blue for ice, yellow for thunder, and white for physical. A good scenario you'd kind of want to hope for is you don't get a lot of thunders, because that is a huge, you know, waste of magic. Not really a waste of magic, but a consumption of magic, because as you know, fire and blizzard only eat up a very tiny portion of an orange bar, but thunder will eat up an entire blue bar, and that's going to make your MP drain super fast, especially if you're trying to focus on stopping the clock every so often. Like this is not what you want to go for. You would hope for, in a perfect world, honestly, that you have physical hits, because your damage is kind of scaled anyway in level 1, that it doesn't really matter. But just kind of hope that you don't get yourself... What's it called? Oh god, Peter's dead. No. Aw, man. I wasn't paying attention to that. That's okay. But yeah, that's what that looks like when the thing runs out. That's kind of bad, actually, because I'm pretty sure he still had a good 2 ethers on him. I'm just going to let this clock roll for a little bit so you can kind of see what's up with that. You'll notice there are no flames on the clock, which means no one will die from this particular revolution, but that's the sort of cooldown phase that it has. Every time it removes one of your party members from battle, it will do a little cooldown phase, and then once the next phase starts up, it will select its next target that it wants to remove from the fight. Like right here, now the flames are back. I'm going to use stop on this because Goofy, I'm pretty sure, still has at least 1 more ether on him, so I want to have him around for a little bit longer. That was a bit sketchy because he was right up against the thing, so let's not deal with that. Okay, good. Blizzard, and what else you got? Okay, thank you, Goofy. I'm like 90% sure that Goofy does not have any more ethers. I could be miscounting. That might have only been the 3rd one he's used because he has been KO'd a bit. I will keep him around for a little longer because, of course, the whole thing with the clock going all the way around several times is that it is eventually going to affect you, so technically it's not really a waste if you're stopping the clock either, even if it's your party member's turn to basically eat it when the timer runs out. But, you know, for the sake of just uncertainty, I guess, I'm going to keep Goofy around a little bit longer and probably cast stop on that thing one more time. But you'll know that your party members are out of healing items when you get down to around 3 MP and they don't chuck any healing items at you. So I'm probably not going to use stop for a little bit here. I'm going to let that clock... Actually, you're really tempting me here, game. You know what? Let's find out. Let's see if he gives me a healing item. Okay, he does. Okay, now I'm positive he has no more healing items. So now I'm not going to let that clock run down anymore. We're pretty much set. Yeah, that's really creepy. You see Peter Pan in the background. He just has like this little aura around him that his heart's been taken and stuff like that. I didn't make a note of it, but if you actually did look carefully when the timer ran out, you could see his heart leave his body and the Phantom basically collected it, so it's a little creepy. I suppose to eat up the time, and I don't really have much else to say at the moment, I will give you guys a little bit of trivia. In the original Kingdom Hearts 1 version, in the Japanese version of this game, like the version that came out, it was basically version 1.0, before the American version came out overseas, or the US version, I don't know, nice voice crack. This was the only Superboss in the original Japanese PS2 version. So think about that, considering all the other bosses that we're going to be fighting for this little last remainder of the game, this was the only Superboss that was released in Japan before the Final Mix version of the game came out. In America, it added particular boss fights such as Kurt Zisa, Sephiroth, and the Ice Titan, and Final Mix also has one particular boss fight that is also exclusive to that specific version, which I will be covering as the last super boss of the game. But yeah, Goofy's doesn't have any more ethers now, so I'm just gonna let him, you know, kinda go. See how the heart comes up and he just absorbs it? Yeah, pretty freaky. So now we're kind of in a loner scenario where we're the only ones left, which honestly isn't too big of a deal. I'm gonna have to bust out that elixir pretty soon because I only have 3 MP to my name. I don't have any other party members helping me out. Let's just do that. Let's use a Thundaga. I'm not going to worry about that clock for the time being, just because I want to get myself a little bit more damage in on this guy before we actually start doing anything else. Blizzaga, physical hit, physical hit. Okay, now that all of that is said and done, now the Doom timer is on me, so I'm going to quickly use stop on that, and I'll probably use... You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait until I run out of MP, like, flat, before I use the healing item. Right here, let's do that. Let's use a fire. Now what I'm going to do is let him hit me, like so, and tank the hit while I'm using the item, so that way I get a... Oh my god, that's stupid. Oh my god, it's the King of the Whiff Lords. What is happening? No! Phantom Lord, come back. What are you doing? Okay, there we go. That was so stupid. But yeah. See, that was a little technique I used to take the damage, but then throw the healing on him right before he attacked me, so that way I get the full healing after he actually does go through with the attack. But yeah, we kind of need to kill this guy fairly soon. Oh my god, I'm stupid. We kind of need to kill this guy fairly soon because our timer's going to run out soon. That clock is going to start rolling again any second now. I may as well just cast stop. Oh, it just did as soon as I went over. Good timing for that. But yeah, I would prefer not to use another elixir in this fight. If I absolutely have to, I will. But I guess I haven't played this fight as well as it possibly could, so if I do have to use another elixir, that is my own fault. But just to throw that out there, that is, I've pretty much covered every single thing I want to mention about this guy. So hopefully, oh, nice, perfect timing. There we go, Phantom is done. I only had to use 1 elixir, which is the average for that fight, so pretty good. I'm happy with that. Yeah, if you run out of magic in that fight, you're kinda screwed. I probably don't have to mention that. There we are, guys. Our next super boss has been taken down. And as your reward for defeating him, you get yourself the final magic upgrade of the entire game. Stopra has been upgraded to Stopka. Pretty fitting, considering the whole stopping the clock and stuff. And the whole clock is stuck at 11:15, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, we will never be back in Neverland now. That is every single thing I wanted to show in Neverland. There are a couple places that we never will be back at. But there is one more thing I want to do really quickly before we end off the episode. I'm going to go to Deep Jungle really fast. Cactuar. And the reason I have come to Deep Jungle is because I want to deal with these white mushrooms one last time, and the particular thing I want from this guy is for him to use the fire charade a couple times, like 3 times, so I can show off one last thing for this video, and if this guy continues to be rude and stuff like that and not do the fire thing, I will have to speed this up. Okay, thank you, there's 1. Please be nice and just do the next 2, have the next 2 be fire. Okay, no, come on, let's do this, I'm eating up time here. Thank you, there's number 2. And if you could do fire 1 more time, that'd be really appreciated. That's Blizzard, come on, give me fire. Thank you. And by using the same spell 3 times in succession, you get yourself a chance at a mystery goo, but more importantly, you get this little thing right here, and this is known as a fire arts. This is an item I'm just gonna leave really quick because that's all I need. The arts items that I kind of went over in the synthesis video, I haven't really gone into any detail about, but if you notice, fire arts. Proof that a white mushroom acknowledged you a master of fire magic. Its value is unknown, and you can get 1 of these for every single type of magic in the entire game: fire, blizzard, thunder, cure, gravity, stop, and arrow. I have gotten the other 6 off screen because I don't really need to show you me getting all 7 of them. I just wanted to show you me getting 1. And you get them through the same way: 3 fires on a white mushroom, 3 blizzards, 3 thunders, blah blah blah, you get the idea. Fire and blizzard can be obtained in Wonderland. Fire, blizzard, and thunder can be obtained through Wonderland. Cure is good for Deep Jungle, Gravity is good for Agrabah, Stop is good for Atlantica, and Arrow is good for, Halloween Town. And once we have all 7 of those, we can actually use them and have them... They have some sort of value that it doesn't really explain to you, but I'm going to show you what its true value really has. Cactuar! It's that music again. Yes, we have returned once again to Traverse Town because we are going to go with the Magician Study, because now that we've done all the things in the game, we have Firaga, Blizzaga, Thundaga, Kiraga, Gruviga, Stopka, and Aroga, and the 7 magic arts. We want to talk to Merlin now. You're becoming a real sorcerer. Here's something for your effort, and for I can't talk. For for having all 7 of the arts abilities, arts items, holy moly. You get yourself the Dream Shield for Goofy. And practice magic? No, because there's one other thing I want to do. Well, this is quite impressive, and once you have all of 7 of your magic fully upgraded to their level 3 magic, which I just obtained by completing the Phantom Fight and getting Stopka, you can get yourself the Dream Rod for Donald. It's very special, take care of it. And that's pretty much everything I want to show. Now that we have all that, and if you look really carefully, the Dream Shield is actually the exact same shield from the little opening sequence of Dive Into the Heart from back in the first episode. And funnily enough, so is the Dream Rod right here. In fact, this was the weapon I chose at the very beginning. Just wanted to throw those out there. And now we have obtained every single staff in the game that is available for Donald. And we have obtained every single weapon in the entire game for Goofy, except for Save the King, which comes from the Hades Time Trial Cup, which sadly is not doable at level 1. So, pretty much at this point, we have obtained every single thing that is an item that doesn't really necessarily belong to the journal, and by that I mean specific abilities that we still have to learn, maybe 1 or 2 things of equipment that we can still pick up, but more or less I'm more directing that towards the Ansem reports. And the final thing I'd like to do before we end this episode off is go back into this little small house here in the 3rd District, because we will not be back here at Traverse Town again for the rest of the game. I want to talk to Kairi one last time. You didn't see Riku? He must be okay. He can take care of himself. Is that all she has to say? Well, that's fine. I just wanted to come back here one last time into this small house because this is where Kairi resides for the rest of the game, after you go through that whole cutscene of I'll always be with you and stuff like that. And yeah, with that in mind, we have now finished our next Super Boss. That's Super Boss number 2. We're going to say goodbye to Kairi until the game is completely finished. And that's going to do it for me, guys. So guys, I've been Mistmaster1. Thank you for watching. This has been episode 54 of Kingdom Hearts Final Mix HD Proud Level 1. And in the next episode, we will tackle our next Super Boss. And that next Super Boss happens to be in Agrabah. So you can probably guess what it's going to be if you even know anything about this game. So, once again, thank you all for watching. And I will see you all in episode 55 for our next Super Boss. See you later.